Welcome to the 100th episode of Long Beach Lens. The Long Beach Community Action Partnership, and specifically the Public Access Digital Network PADNet team, are very excited about what we feel are segments of the best Long Beach Lens has produced over the last 4 years. To give you context, I will share with you that the PADNet vision evolved from the success of our Leadership Academy mentoring program. Thanks to the creative genius of Lionel Martin as our video instructor, our local teams in Long Beach made amazing content that was produced for playback on YouTube. When we learned that the Long Beach Public Access Television contract was available for the right operator with strong leadership and operational integrity, I knew we were the right organization. If the mission of Long Beach Community Action Partnership includes community advocacy for low-income families and workforce development, what better way to accomplish both than creating our own community media operations to teach others in our community video production skills. Long Beach Lens evolved from this effort to demonstrate to potential members in the community just how professional the resources are at PADNet that anyone in our city could also learn to use to tell their stories. As I reflect back to PADNet's beginnings, there are many in our community that supported our efforts. Names such as Antonio Ruiz or Jim Worsham and Sandy Vandenberg, former public access icons such as Judy Baker and Ron Petke come to mind. Great leaders that I respect sincerely. As a result of their support, along with our Long Beach Community Action Partnership Board of Directors and many others, PADNet was created. It's amazing how a loading dock was transformed into a state-of-the-art television studio so quickly at our old location. We begin by taking you behind the scenes of Long Beach Lens and share one of our first and most important productions, which was the 2008 Mayoral Forum on PADNet TV, which included all of the candidates running against who ultimately became our current mayor, Dr. Robert Garcia.
Good evening, and welcome to this first of a series of election forums produced by the Long Beach Community Action Partnership with PADNet.tv. An invitation was extended to all of the mayoral candidates who had declared by the end of November of 2013. We are very happy to welcome 7 of them here tonight. What we offer tonight is really just the briefest of opportunities to get acquainted with these men and women. Most of all, we hope that you'll make democracy work by voting on April 8th. And I hope that those of you who are here in the studio audience will join me in thanking all of the candidates, not just for being here tonight, but for their dedication to our community. Thank you very much.
We will also share a segment from one of PADNet's original flagship programs, The Heart of Giving, hosted by our very dear friend, former Mayor Beverly O'Neill.
Hello, my name is Beverly O'Neill, and I am here on the first program of the new public access station that Long Beach has in the city for our residents and the surrounding areas. And I'm doing a program called The Heart of Giving. This is a very important thing in the city of Long Beach. And the nonprofits in the city of Long Beach are really the soul of our city. I love being in Long Beach, and it's because people care. And the nonprofits show you that people care. They're active in our community, that volunteer their time, that give of their money to be part of the community. This is something I have said for 4 years on this program, bringing to you the nonprofits of the city of Long Beach. I am so pleased to say that there are so many people involved in our community.
We will end this segment with one of my all-time favorite videos that was produced by our LAMP students and paved the way for the creation of PADNet TV and ultimately the Long Beach Lens show. I am sure you will be impressed as well. Note that this was directed by the acclaimed film director, Lionel Martin, and there was no editing in this video. Just one take from start to finish.
It don't matter what people say, there's no way they can take away the gift God has sent. That's the reason why I'm confident.
Say what they want, but that won't change how I feel. I'll keep standing tall, 'cause nobody can steal my confidence. My confidence, it brings me happiness. My confidence.
Young B, be that boy, known for knowledge. Gotta make it in this world, so I'm going to college. Gotta succeed in something or amount to nothing. But in this world today, I'ma stand for something. Gotta keep my head on, can't lose my faith. And if you ain't on my team, you better get out the way. Cause I'm hungry like the beast of the Billy Baby. Now I got confidence, so that means first place.
And you asking what's confidence, follow it. Gotta get the knowledge, get fluently and confident. Swirls in my mind, but I follow it. Now that you're feeling it, I'm going to the top with this. And when I grab the mic, then you know I do it right. And when I do it right, then you know I do it tight. Like a genie out the lamp, and I'm skating down the ramp of life. And I strive for it, never stress is right.
Don't matter what people say, there's no way they can take away the gift God has sent. That's the reason why I'm confident.
Say what they want, but that won't change how I feel. I'll keep standing tall, 'cause nobody can steal my confidence.
Every day to the office by the ones and twos, searching long and hard for the ultimate truth. Sometimes I see what many others don't. I ask your minds to try harder when your bodies won't. Young people, confidence is achieved with faith, a sense of urgency, and no time to waste. Confidence, another word for poise. You have to keep your focus and rise above the noise. Tell the world your story with confidence. Master beats and lyrics of intelligence. With opportunity now, you have proved you could. Confidence can change a world when it's understood. Confidence.
It don't matter what people say, there's no way they can take away the gift God has sent. That's the reason why I'm confident.
Say what they want, but that won't change how I feel. I'll keep standing tall, 'cause nobody can steal my confidence. My confidence, it brings me happiness. My confidence.
Strong leadership with integrity is a cornerstone of any community. In this next segment, we will share interviews with some of our local political leaders that I have great respect and admiration for. In one particular episode, we had the honor of interviewing the 3 local Long Beach City Council women that were in their roles at the same time as a first in local history. We will also share snippets of conversations with Dr. Jane Conley, president of Cal State University Long Beach, Lene Stout, director of the California Community Services Development Department, Police Chief Robert Luna, Reggie Harrison, who is a former board member and a great supporter of our agency, and our own Mayor Robert Garcia in a one-on-one interview, someone I have known since the days we both worked at Long Beach City College, long before his current role.
First, you have to recognize where poverty is and where it isn't, and what really, what does the population that's going through this experience actually look like? And so we know that in Long Beach, we have about a 20% poverty rate citywide. That is not dramatically different than other parts of the county or Los Angeles. If we're going to make a big dent into that poverty number, we have to make big investments in central Long Beach. And so what does that look like? I mean, it looks like ensuring that there's access to park space. It's also the area of the city that has the least amount of access to parks and play areas. It's a part of the city that has the least amount of programming in many cases at parks that are available. We've got to make sure that there's pipelines to education so that they have access to these internships, so they have access to all sorts of educational opportunities. So those are some of the ways that we're working to provide more opportunities. There's job training issues. There's ensuring that people have access to good jobs that are actually can pay them a living wage. So those are things we're looking at, but there's obviously a lot of work to do. It's a lot of community support and face support. Certainly anytime you have new leadership, and I think it's more than just obviously myself, but I think you have a large new council, you have a huge turnover in city management, so there's just a new energy and I think a lot of new people in the city of Long Beach. I think people are generally excited about that. I also think one of the things that's been very beneficial is as there's been this transition, I think there's a national feeling of more optimism that's happened lately as well. So I think the combination of those two things has made it a good time for Long Beach. Anytime you have a new mayor, I think that it's hopefully an exciting time. You think about the last 2 decades, we've had 2 mayors over the last probably 20 years, and it's been Mayor Beverly O'Neill and Mayor Foster, and so we're entering a new kind of era, I think, for the city, and I'm excited to lead it, and it's been a good time.
Welcome to PadNet Presents. I'm Derek Simpson, the host of the show, and it's a very special opportunity to interview 3 people that I think the world of, and I'm sure you will too after you hear the conversation that we're about to have. In Long Beach, in the month of June, we had what was called one of the most historical elections of all time, both because of our mayor being the first Latino and the youngest and first openly gay, but also because 5 of the city council districts turned over and we had new city council persons coming on board. And 3 of those were women, and those ladies are here with us today, and I want to share with them and with you what's been going on in these first 8 weeks in office so that we can not only hear about what's going on at City Council, but also what's going on in their lives that's changed since they've taken on such an important responsibility in our community.
What I've always been proud of and what I've confirmed to be true since I've been on the council is that there are amazing, wonderful things going on in the city of Long Beach, and we are a community that is rich with diversity, rich with programming, and so open to potential. I think in terms of my district, there are many projects that are happening in my district that are going to improve the quality of life for the residents. And although we often hear about issues because people have complaints or something they're unhappy with, there's a lot of great things going on. We've got this great new Belmont pool facility that we're building. We're redesigning the whole zoning scheme for the area of 2nd and PCH that has been an issue for the community for years. We're repairing necessary infrastructure. There's a lot of great things happening in my district and citywide that I wish people would know more about.
You know, it was an amazing experience to be able to use those skills in a new environment. And I was honored to be selected as a new council member on the Budget Oversight Committee. Okay. And the way that the Budget Oversight Committee works to ensure that the priorities of all constituents in all districts are given a seat at the table so that we hear out all of our options and then really figure out where we can go from here. And I think that one of the things that us 3 ladies are committed to is finding new revenue sources, because when we take a budget, you start with what you had last year, and there isn't much more available. And so the decisions were really tough. We found some really creative ways. Susie and I partnered together to find some public safety things. Susie has done an excellent job as the chair of our public safety committee and ensuring that those programs and priorities were at the table. And I think that Lena and I have talked about some opportunities in our districts to find ways that businesses and government can work better together so that next year the decisions won't be as tough, because hopefully we'll have some more revenue to talk about.
Lena, you, although you weren't on council before, you worked in a council office,
Yes.
unlike, I guess, any of our other two guests here. Were there any observations that you could make kind of being behind the scenes in that whole budgeting process that you may have found differently now, being one of the key players in the
Yes,
process?
it's all up to me now. So it was a huge challenge for me because I don't talk that language, and I appreciate Councilmember Mungo's expertise because she's helped us learn a lot through the process, and it was very challenging for me because it is difficult to find what priorities are going on in your district and how to not prevent us from cutting anything else in other areas, and also understanding the overlying themes that all of us have: public safety, parks programming, and better business modules. And so it was a very challenging process, but I'm glad we got through it. We passed it a week early, thanks to all of our work and the mayor's precedence and tone and what he set for us. And I think it was amazing. So it's really great.
Basically, we would like this to be the new floor, in the sense that if you're earning $15 an hour and you're working full-time, you can't afford something. You either can't afford your health insurance, or you can't afford food for your kids, or books, or rent. We're talking about working people cannot afford to live, and we haven't raised it in many, many years. And nowhere in the country is $15 an hour going to allow you to have steak and potatoes. That's
Especially
not what we're talking about.
especially in LA County.
That's exactly right. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people having, a little dignity, a little respect. That's where you start from. That we're not going to start. People don't have to start in such severe poverty that they have to have 2 or 3 full-time jobs. That is unacceptable.
What thoughts go through your head, Congressman, with the background that you have and working in communities that you do?
Well, as a community psychologist, I kind of think in terms of what are effective communities and what communities are not effective and what do they need to become effective. And the kinds of programs that we support in community services projects really aid to the effectiveness of a community, of how it functions and how well, and the well-being of all of its people. And so, while I don't know exactly where the appropriation is at this moment, I am a supporter of fully funding those programs, and we'll continue to support that and stand up for those programs.
Well, we're speaking with Congresswoman Janice Hahn, and it's a pleasure to talk with her about so many things, from being a grandmother, such as I'm a grandfather, to being in Congress and what it takes to really be successful there, and how she represents all of us in her district. One of the stories that I found most impressive about her and her family in doing my research was the story about 1962. A plane lands at LAX, and off steps Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the greatest figures in U.S. history, if not world history.
And so he went to the airport. He took a photographer with him. He always did that. And there's this great photo of Dr. King coming down the steps of a United Airlines plane. That's when you could go out to the tarmac and greet someone.
You can still do that in Long Beach, by the way.
That's true, you can. That's true. Good plug for Long Beach Airport. The way my dad likes to tell the story is that while they were together, Dr. King talked about his hopes for this country and his hopes for America. And of course, my father likes to believe that was his I Have a Dream speech that he heard first. But that's the way we were told that story.
The Pope had arrived, and I saw him walking down through Congress, and I noticed, I believe it was a red jacket or something to that effect, and I thought, hey, I know her, and there you were. Tell us about that experience.
It was really exciting to be a member of Congress when this Pope, Pope Francis, came, first Pope in the history to address a joint session of Congress.
Wow.
And so I figured out how to get on the aisle. And
you were there early, huh?
I was there early. But it's interesting because they said he was on a very tight timeline. So they were like, don't shake his hand, don't talk to him. We need to get him in, give a speech. He needs to get out. He had a full day. So I saw him just like the president does when he gives the State of the Union, comes down the center aisle, and I noticed everyone, they even had blockers to keep members of Congress from talking to him or touching him.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, you know, this is not like a Catholic church. He's not talking to his bishops, his priests, his, you know, the people he feels comfortable with. This is the first time he's addressed the governmental body of the United States of America. It seemed to me he looked a little like, wasn't sure how he would be received. So I decided to say something to him and welcome him, and I could tell he turned and really sort of lit up. And he was, I think he was grateful that one of us spoke to him. We were, we were being so polite and told not to speak to him that I think he was feeling a little insecure about maybe how we were receiving him. And the fact of the matter is, everybody I knew was very excited to see him. I wanted him to feel welcome, so that was what I was doing. And it's a great photo where he's actually smiling at me. When you walk me around the studio and show me everything you're doing here that maybe many people don't even know, reaching out to so many young people at risk and giving them, you know, skills, giving them skills to pay their bills.
Absolutely, I love that phrase.
Which is so critical. And again, that helps our communities, that helps our cities, that helps our states, and it helps our country. And government can't do it all. And we really depend on nonprofits to help with the outreach that can actually save lives and turn lives around, which is exactly what you're doing. So that would be money well spent. I'm for reauthorizing that. I'm a little, you know, frustrated at the actual reality of whether or not that's going to happen, but I'm supportive of that.
When you started out as just a community member, from that transition to being a council member, what did you learn about your district in that process?
Well, I learned a lot of the intricate details of the district. I think the thing that comes to mind first and foremost is the great need for us to repair infrastructure. I mean, as a candidate and as a council member, I now have I would say a third eye where I'm looking at the details, right? I'm looking at the cracks in the sidewalks and in the streets, and I'm looking at curbs that need to be repaired and trees that need to be trimmed. And so I've developed an eye for detail because I like to anticipate, you know, what's next. And I think that has served us pretty well so far.
Please help me in welcoming Councilman Rex Richardson. Welcome, Councilman.
Thank you, Derek. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to be up here. It's been different for us being in the 9th, and since I've been up here, I drive through the district, and I'm reminded of just how much change is going on, and I'm sure you're real proud of that.
Yeah, we certainly are.
Let's start out about you come into your position. It wasn't totally new to you because you were chief of staff. You kind of knew what was going on. Absolutely. But how has that transition been for you, going from being on staff to actually being the person responsible for it all?
Well, I believe that the time I spent working for the city as chief of staff for our previous council member, Steve Neal, it was a period of preparation for me. I was able to build relationships with community members, stakeholders, understand the complex issues, and use that as a basis to create a platform and a policy agenda. If I had not had those years of experience, I probably would have spent, you know, the first year, 18 months just getting up to speed on things, whereas we were able to pick right up and sort of take things to the next level right out the gate.
And you still have some of the same faces in that office working with you, with a complement of new faces as well, right?
Absolutely, certainly. So obviously I'm still in the office. We kept our field deputy. She's now in the office manager role. Marina, many people know Marina. My chief of staff, Shauna Stevens, she began as an intern with the city three generations of council members ago for Jerry Schultz. Then she worked 10 years in our health department, managed a large grant here in District 9 from Kaiser Permanente that focuses on healthy eating, active living. So given her experience and my relationship with her working together in these neighborhoods, I thought she made the most sense to sort of come over and lead our team as the chief of staff. So there's that. A lot of the residents are still the same in our business district, which began in 2014. In 2013, that's still here as a part of our team as well. Here's what I've learned. Neighborhoods, communities aren't made up of buildings or structures or potholes. At its core, neighborhoods are made up of people. Communities are made up of people. And when the people are, thrive, the community thrives. When the people suffer, the community suffers.
Right.
So the commitments that we made is that, sure, we're gonna make investments in our infrastructure. We're gonna go ahead and build and focus on our aging infrastructure. But really, in order to really make a change in this community, we have to really be about community empowerment, empowering the people of the community. So we did that. We started off having seen the excitement that's grown in the community, going from 4 or 5 neighborhood associations to 10 or 11.
Wow.
And we have more active neighborhood groups representing every inch of our council district, more than any other council district in our city now, right? So we've taken that, built on that, and spun it into a tremendous new part of democracy called participatory budgeting, which is when we take a portion of a public budget, hand it to the residents, and say, you write the rules, you determine what your priorities are as a community, then you take a public, direct, democratic vote on how those funds are spent. Now, we were the first community in Southern California to host this. It was wildly successful. We were able to actually have the highest vote turnout of any participatory budgeting process in North America.
Wow.
Now, if you compare that to where North Long Beach was 5 or 6 years ago in terms of engagement, 3 or 4 neighborhood associations, a few quasi-governmental North PAC groups, now you have real, meaningful engagement here in North Long Beach. So we can build libraries and build community centers and all that, but really, it's the people. We have to build a renaissance in the people.
For anybody who has succeeded in any, whether it's sports, the arts, any profession, you, along the way, will get mentored. You'll be taught by other people. And for me, it started at home with my mother. The work ethic, she instilled the loyalty, the qualities that I have today, of my family. And then as you move on, just people that, like I always talk about Sergeant Mike Woodward, who was the person who recruited me for the police department. And all along the way, there are so many people, so many names that attributed to my successes. You don't get to a place like this alone whatsoever. You absolutely go out and find those relationships that will help you get there. And that's something I talk to kids about all the time. Ask for help, ask for advice, whether it's education, career advice, what do I do? Do I make a left turn, a right turn? Very important to all of us to succeed.
What I'd like us to really focus a little bit more on is the poverty issues and how we can be more informative about what those challenges are and know, for instance, we have the official poverty measure and we now have a California poverty measure. Right. So how do we influence policy and what can we do at the state level to really help make the changes that are needed in order to have a difference in the lives of those that we serve? So that's what I would like us to do more, and working across the state departments in order to be able to be as effective as possible.
What I always want to communicate, I'm not sure I always execute, is that I'm intensely curious about how Long Beach City and the Long Beach greater region, and really even on to LA, how we can form really rich win-win partnerships between the university and the community. The future of public education in the United States really will depend on our figuring out how, to break down the barriers, break down the walls, break down any notion of an ivory tower, and that we either show what we're doing or transform ourselves to do, that we're vitally part of the economic development of this region. We're vitally part of the artistic and the civic development. We train the teachers that are in the schools. We train the nurses that are going to be in your hospitals. When we do well, the community does well. So we need to really, so that's what I hope people would find when they talk to me, is that I'm looking for those opportunities to enrich the partnerships we already have and expand them.
So I've had an amazing tenure with the City of Long Beach. I'm going on my 21st year with the City of Long Beach, and I've served in various leadership capacities. I spent 10 of those years as our deputy city manager, and that allowed me an opportunity to have a very broad perspective on the city. For a period of time, I was also the director of our community development and redevelopment agency. And last year, I got an opportunity to serve as a director of our airport. That was pretty exciting.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that one, yeah. So as you know, also being a former member of our board of directors and current member of our board of governors, we work with youth and in the community, and we work with families that are low income. But if there's a young person looking at this show, for instance, right now, that's maybe trying to consider what their career path might be, what would you say to them about coming to work in city government? What might they focus on to help them start a career like that?
Well, I'd focus on local government, because local government is really what touches the residents. It's what touches youth right now as well, as they're out in our parks and recreation program, as they're driving our streets, as they're out at the waterfront activities. It's all about local government that makes that happen, and it is a career in which you really feel like your work makes a difference. And then more specifically to my work, emergency management, this is an area, a field that's really growing over the course of these last few years. Unfortunate incidents that have occurred that has fueled that growth, but it's a growing, it's a growing area of interest. So emergency management might be an area to study.
Well, thank you again, and it's an honor to be here. Prior to going to Washington, you know, my primary mandate was having served on the Port of Long Beach as one of 5 commissioners.
Right.
And it was as a result of that experience that took me to Washington. And in that, in terms of my professional career, I've been a practicing attorney. And prior to leaving to go to DC, because that position requires you for one to relinquish any other employment you may have or participating in any boards.
Oh, wow.
So you give up everything with regard to some of these federal positions.
Right.
So one that I did have to give up was my part-time endeavor was teaching at Long Beach City College, political science for the past 17 years or so. Something that again, I not only do I miss, but that was one that I like connect to young people, and we were talking about that aspect in terms of students really how important it is to network.
Yeah.
Because you never know where the opportunity comes forward.
Right.
Clearly, I could stand here and say that myself because did I plan to get a call from the White House one day asking me if I wanted to be considered for a position there as commissioner? And never in the world did I even think that possibly was going to happen.
If you enjoy the arts, you will love this next segment. We have interviews with our LAMP alumni, world-famous VIP records, music royalty such as Gina Eckstein, the daughter of the great Billy Eckstein, an amazing local sculptor, you'll love his work here, a Mardi Gras mask designer, Karen White, who is amazing, local celebrities, humanitarians, a corporate CEO from St. Mary's Medical Center, leadership experts, dating experts, and more. I even share my first helicopter flying lesson. You gotta see that.
One of the biggest things that I got from LAMP was to really, and not to be cliche, but to meet my dream with reality. Because at first I was just a kid in high school who wanted to do music, and my resources were really limited. I didn't really have somebody saying, "This, if you want to do this, go and do it this way." So when I came to LAMP and I seen that they were content experts for each field who were active in the music industry, I didn't understand why everybody wasn't trying to be in this program. I was like, wait, this guy who's touring with the Commodores is coming here teaching kids, or this guy who worked on Usher project is here. And I'm like, okay, you're not getting rid of me now. So it's like, it's no way. So it just really made me feel like, okay, maybe this is possible. Because at first it was just more of, me just doing it on my own, just going for what I know to do myself, and I'm just limited to my own knowledge and resources. But here, it not only gave me resources, but along with those mentors came knowledge about, how to conduct yourself, how to, eat at a table, or, things that I didn't think about that now when I'm at lunch meetings with people, all of those things play into a factor. And I'm like, well, that all started here.
And I didn't want to get rid of it completely or get out of it. Right. So I told the guys, I said, look, you guys continue playing, I'll book the shows. So literally out of my dorm room, I was calling clubs in Hollywood, using a fake name as the agent and then my name as the manager. So it sounded like we had a whole team together.
Right.
So I started booking, we played all through Hollywood and then joined the concerts committee, became a DJ, and just really started doing it right from there, but right on campus. What we're in charge of is Long Beach Boulevard and Atlantic Avenue from 33rd to 46th Street on both sides. So that's our district. And so we're responsible for keeping it clean and safe, promoting it, sharing information to the membership, marketing ideals or funding or business plan ideas, and just making a vibrant business district. Now, what we've done is gone outside of that a little bit, because I said, well, it's great that we're going to focus on the businesses, and that's of course, that's our mission, that's what we're going to do. But we need to cast the net wider to make sure that we are engaging the neighborhood, because if you don't have these residents involved daily on the business quarters, then we have nothing here.
Speaking of roots, you're from Cochabamba?
Cochabamba, ¿ya?
Cochabamba, Bolivia.
Y es el lugar tan mágico, hermoso, donde crecí, que creo esto ha hecho que desde temprana edad pueda yo hacer arte.
Now, there was a national competition, though you grew up working with your hands and in the earth, you began to understand that art was a passion for you. And your first major piece was Cristos. Can you talk about that competition?
Cristos Rotos. Era una pieza que acompañó esta obra también, y acompañó esta. Era un tiempo muy difícil en Bolivia. Había muchos conflictos sociales. Entonces yo fui captando todo ese sentimiento de la gente, de la comunidad, y lo asimilé tanto que lo pasé, todo ese sentimiento, a un pedazo de piedra, y lo puse por título Cristos Rotos.
I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Oh, I'm leaving you tomorrow. It seems to me, oh, you know I've done all I can. You see, I beg, stole, and I borrow. You know I'm easy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm easy like Sunday morning. You know I'm easy. Yeah. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
In order to be a good store owner, manager, or employee, you got to really focus in on what's being played over the airways. So we were really in tune on what was played on local radio, because that's basically what people wanted, is what they hear. So a lot of times they come in, they don't know the artist's name, they don't know the name of the song. Right. They might can hum a couple of bars and stuff. So we have to be able to pick up on that, and we were real good.
Now, 1979, I'm dating myself, that's when I graduated from the University of Alabama. But you said in 1979, the Sugar Hill Gang started a shift in the music scene. What was that?
Yeah, I would say maybe it was probably after 79. I know VIP came to Long Beach in June of 1978. Actually, my brother still owned it at that time when we opened the VIP in Long Beach. And 6 months later, January of 79, I bought the store from him. So So I've actually owned it since '79.
Okay.
And I can remember working with Sugar Hill Gang in Rapper's Delight. So that was kind of my first, real focus on rap music back in the day, because my brother was a close friend of Sylvia Rome, who was the owner of Sugar Hill label in New York. So she asked him, would VIP get involved with marketing and promoting this project? And so when I heard it, I already know it was had a cool beat, and I felt very strongly, we felt very strongly that we could be real instrumental in marketing and promoting the Sugar Hill Gang here on the West Coast.
Yes, my father was Billy Eckstein, and he's a very accomplished musician, not just a singer, and well respected as a musician. He had a big band back in the day. Actually, he started with Earl Hines Orchestra when he was in his early 20s. And in that orchestra, they played a lot of society swing music. And at that time, musicians wanted to be more expressive. So my dad started his own band, and in that band, he had Sarah Vaughan as his girl vocalist, Art Blakey on drums, Miles Davis on horn, Charlie Parker. I mean, it's one legend.
Yeah.
Now they're legends,
Right,
but
right.
during that time they really just wanted to be expressive. So in his band was the beginning of the bebop era, and musicians were able to be expressive and do improvisation. And then, unfortunately, that band didn't really pan out, although now people look at it as the legendary Billy Eckstein Orchestra. But at that time, my dad decided to go out on his own, and he had 11 gold records, 2 platinum, and mostly as a balladeer.
Holding hands at midnight, 'neath the starry sky. It's nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try. Strolling with the one boy, sigh and sigh after sigh. It's nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try.
There was a friend of mine who had a fashion show, a designer, and all of his designs had zippers on them. And so I designed the mask around zippers. And trying to make them all different and unique, but including a zipper on every one. That one was one of my favorites. The trick was to try to make a hat and mask combination inside the crease, so that no matter which way you turn, you still get the effect
Talk about detail.
of the detail, yeah. When I finished college, I went to Connecticut to teach school. And I would go over to New York all the time to see the Broadway plays, and I kept saying, I want to do that, I want to do that. I was in some plays in school, but when I got there, I said, I'm going to do that. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And I ended up eventually in Atlanta through some relocations and started taking classes at the Alliance Theater. And I got my first part, was an extra. It was in Mayflower Madam with Candace Bergman way back many, many years ago. But the director, he just kind of fell in love with me. He said, I'm going to feature you. And I ended up in People Magazine.
Oh, really?
In People Magazine, on the cover of People Magazine for that movie. And after I did that first extra part, I said, no more extras, I need to work. And I started working from there. And it just kept going.
I was an assistant athletic director in charge of development, so, but I had done everything. We raised money. When we had football, we cooked, chili at Vet Stadium, I mean, we did everything, down and dirty, and then, into having big fund drives, special events, and things like that to raise money. But I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience.
Tell us how that experience is for you and the role that you play.
Oh, it was really fun. We've always had the same 2 announcers doing the parade, and I remember the first year I worked here, they had hired somebody, and she didn't really seem to know anybody, but I know everybody who's going to be in the parade. So, yeah, Ron from Charter asked me if I wanted to do it, and you know, it's not that hard. It's just actually more fun. The hardest part is them trying to take the microphone and they're telling you can't do it, or to climb up on that ladder with with Santa on the fire engine.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can't reach Santa, so I definitely need help on that. But it's actually really fun. You know, it's just the people are so nice, and you know, a lot of we don't just talk to dignitaries. We talk to different people.
I started doing events and projects in Long Beach about 16 years ago, and each of them are just things that I love, that I've enjoyed, and that I want to continue to explore and discover, and that's why I keep doing all these things that I'm doing.
You know, you're part of a family that that family mission became a business mission, and along with all of that, you have to be a good neighbor, and you have to live that same life as a corporate citizen. So, I mean, I can't preach things that I don't actually practice. So, biking and walking and using public transportation and supporting all the programs that also advocate for that. That's part of what we do.
We saw it growing up. We saw my dad take phone calls from patients in the middle of dinner. There were times when he couldn't get someone to cover the hospital, so we would have Thanksgiving dinner at the hospital because serving others was very, very important to our family. We talked about it all the time. And so when it became a business for us, we made sure that those same values of serving others were the hallmark of growing the company.
Right. So PV Jobs then, for those who aren't aware,
yes,
what
so
is it?
PV Jobs is an acronym.
Right.
PV Jobs stands for Playa Vista Job Opportunities and Business Services. Okay. Long name, simple roles, which is they help find jobs for the at-risk community.
Now, how exactly do you play your role in this? Do you actually identify who these young people are? Do you work with the developers? Kind of walk us through the process.
Yes, and so our role in like the Playa Vista development, for example, is that we are considered the jobs coordinators. Okay. And so what we do is we work with these developers and contractors who plan to do all of this work, and we help them meet their contractual agreements in regards to hiring a certain percentage of local and disadvantaged young men.
Our CVB is actually just won an award. We won a Stello Award, and it was voted upon by our peers. So other CVBs, other people in the meetings industry, and they voted our CVB best in the Far West. And so that's for our white glove service. That's definitely what sets us apart.
White glove service.
Exactly.
Which is?
So you know when you go to Nordstrom's or a Barney's or a Saks, and you have those people who cater to you, your every need. You walk into the store, they're making sure you're okay. Even as you're shopping, they may offer you a glass of champagne. That's Long Beach. We're gonna make sure that you are well taken care of.
We have 2 items here, and I want you to tell us about these, because clearly I was clueless, thought this plugged into something. But tell us about the new website, and we have some video we're going to share, but it's what makes it unique.
What you have in your hands right now is an Oculus, and then this here that I have is just a cardboard. And so this is just paper. You pop your phone in here. Once you connect to our website, then you're able to be immersed in the experience. For the Oculus, because it has sound, you're even more so immersed in the experience. And so the difference is that this one would be sent to clients, whereas the other wouldn't. What you see on your screen right now is our virtual reality, and so you're able to see the various tours that we have. You'll notice that our photos are all very different, so it's not the traditional marketing photo that you would look for or are used to seeing. You can see that you're able to toggle, move your mouse around, and see a full 360 view. One thing that's really cool is that going into a video, if you toggle and move your screen around, you can see what's happening in front of you, but you can also see what's happening on the side of you, behind you. You can even see the driver there. If you go into the drift experience, if you know what drift car racing is, it's all the smoke that's behind you because they're getting as close as they can to the walls. And so in this particular experience, you can see the driver, you can tell it's a completely different car, but you can see that smoke flying up behind you. So you actually feel like you're there.
From Leadership Long Beach, please join me in welcoming Jeff Williams and Ryan Rayburn. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. It's great to have you here. As you know, I have a great love for what you do, and especially for Leadership Long Beach. But Jeff, let's start with you. And for those who don't know what Leadership Long Beach really is, have just heard a little bit about it, just kind of give us a brief overview of what Leadership Long Beach is all about.
But most of them are either part of the chamber or an independent nonprofit, and that's what we are. So we're a nonprofit organization, and we run leadership programs to kind of get people more engaged and active in their community. Our mission is to inform, activate, and connect.
What inspired you to think that this was a good use of your time and energy to join Leadership Long Beach?
So I am a graduate of the class of 2013. Okay. I was actually lucky enough to have an older sister who went through the program, and I could really see the development that she was able to take on as she went through the program. Due to timing, I wasn't able to get involved as soon as I'd like to, but I did get the opportunity to join the class of 2013. And really, I'm born and raised in Long Beach. Just like both of you, I really do truly love the city. And I was always looking for ways to get more involved with the city. And I saw Leadership Long Beach was going to be able to give me that opportunity. And then after going through the program, I really asked myself, what can I continue to do to contribute, and why I would want to stay active with Leadership Long Beach. And then they asked me to join the board, and I've been on the board ever since.
My family, my mother and my older brother and my uncle, myself, we managed to escape the killing fields. We arrived in Maryland.
You eventually moved to Long Beach. Tell us how you made that transition and then began to realize that maybe being an entrepreneur and independent as you are was something that was a possibility for you.
I must say, just the upbringing in the church and the strong foundation, being a part of a Cambodian church, hearing about what goes on in our country, the aftermath of the genocide, and what we can possibly do here, given the opportunities to still make a difference back there. And so my first opportunity was to go back to Cambodia back in 2005. And I didn't want to go empty-handed, so I raised enough money within my network of professionals and friends and family. We were able to, in a short period of time, raise over $2,000. And we headed back to Cambodia with my mom for the very first time to distribute and help out about a little over 400 kids, with school uniforms, toothpaste, the necessities that we take for granted.
I think that's amazing advice. Two things you said. One was the importance of a mentor.
Yes.
And it's finding the right mentor, not just because of the right title that one might assume. Because if the title doesn't have time for you, then so what? So mentor was one thing. But then the other thing you say is also taking advantage of opportunities and getting involved and building those relationships, not just showing up, doing your job and leaving.
And as you said something very important, is finding the right mentor. Because there's a difference between someone saying they're mentoring you and someone who's really your champion. That's gonna really take you under your wing and tell you the truth, because that was the wonderful thing about, this gentleman that brought me into the C-suite. When I screwed up, he told me, he didn't bring me in and just watch me fail. He gave me honest feedback because he knew, number one, he knew he was taking a chance on me. And when I would do something wrong, he would come in and close the door and say, okay, you blew it this time, but here's what we're gonna do and I'm gonna help you. And we still laugh about that today. And I said, there are probably so many times you should have just got rid of me. He goes, no. He goes, I knew you had potential, and I knew that if I was just patient with you and mentored you, that you would be a great executive one day.
What would be the process for somebody who's like, wow, I'm intimidated. I hear what you're saying, but what's the first step? They may not know how to go about that. What would you say to someone, especially a young person?
Well, it's you have to think about what you're going to do. That's the first thing. You have to think about it. And you have to learn to flip, I call it flipping the switch. You flip the switch from negative to positive. And you'll say, oh yeah, I can do this. Oh yeah, there's something in here I can get out of that. And what that does, it changes your whole personality
in your whole approach to solving problems.
Okay, now, Mrs. Jenkins, as you sit there, I know that you are a part of getting the word out about the book, and certainly you have a big role in everything that's led to us being here today. But what are some of the things that you're hearing as you go out and support the book's success from the people who've read it or the people that you talk to in the community?
I think most of the time people are saying that it's a tool to help you succeed at whatever you're trying to do. And as Matt was saying, if you're facing an obstacle or you have a problem that you're not able to solve, you think about all the things that, of course, the first thing that comes to your mind is the things that cannot be done. But what can I do? Is this something I can turn into a positive? Right. It's like, somebody says your cup is full or it's all half full. Mm-hmm. It's never empty. So there's always something there. And there's always people around who can help you get where you want to go. That's where you have your mentors. Mm-hmm. And someone who and say, go and say, can you help me? This is what I'm facing. Mm-hmm. What should be my next step? Mm-hmm. So there's always and that's the positive part of it. Mm-hmm. So you're always looking for areas of being able to make it something that it isn't today. But tomorrow it can work. And maybe it's something that shouldn't work, and somebody can help you decide that I need to let this go and work on something else.
Let me talk more about the introduction to dancing, because if I'm a young man here in the States and my mom says, come on, take this dance lesson, chances are that's the last lesson that I would want to. But evidently your mom saw something in you, or she was a dancer. What really made that gel, right?
Mum grew up dancing, and her cousin, which is my cousin as well, was a very famous choreographer in Australia, and we lived in Brisbane, he lived in Sydney. She thought, oh, well, maybe there's some talent there. I don't know. Still, if there's any talent there. But that's how it started. She called him up and he said, look, there's this really great woman you need to go and see. So we turn up on the day of the rehearsal. It's this beautiful old theatre in Australia called the Chanel Theatre in Brisbane. And I just remember first time in a theatre, 8 years old, it was magical. I'd never been anywhere like that before, My family were very working class. We didn't have a lot of money. My parents worked several jobs, So we turn up. Anyway, it comes time for the to go to the rehearsal, and I do the first part with my class, the first part of the routine. Then we go off, and now it's time for the boys to come on and do their dynamic duo, And they choreograph this number for the two of us. But before we get a chance to go out there, she runs backstage. She's like, boys, take your shirts off, take your shirts off. I was like, oh no. And then we were like in mid-routine. I'm like, right. And the little mind goes, suck it up, just do it. I just did it. As soon as I hit the stage, it was like, it's so cliched, but the lights hit me. I could smell the hairspray, and I was like, and everything went slow-mo, and I was like, no, the fat's going blah, 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 blah. And I remember, Mike Murray, who we'll get into a little bit later, he has this saying, you always have those sort of like when God speaks. Yeah. And God spoke to me that the voice in my head said, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. And it was a defining moment, and I have been. And we went outside. As I said, we're going to make the first cut. So we go outside, and we're all waiting. About 45 minutes later, they bring us back in. And they say, okay, Michelle Rudy, step forward. Troy Burgess, step forward. And Aaron Cash, step forward. Thank you very much. You have the job. You can sit down and watch everybody else audition. It was nuts. And she was standing there. Oh, she wasn't standing. She was sitting at the desk watching everybody, and she had like this sort of cat in a hat, top hat on, and a little John Lennon glasses, looking very cool and very Cher. And then we went taken over to meet her, and straight away, because I had long hair down to here, and she was like, Thor. That's what I'm going to call you now. So she started calling me Thor. I was like, oh, okay, great. I was like, after dancing like that, I was a little Thor. Oh, sorry. But that was like my really big kind of break. And then I worked with her for 10 years, and to this day, I'm still in touch with her. And we went to see a show a couple of years ago when she was in Vegas. She's been very good to me. I got my green card because of her. She sponsored me.
Yeah. So Veggie Pilot, for those at home, is a blog that I created. I'm a vegan airline pilot, and it initially started because I had already been a vegetarian for forever, and I was already working at my previous airline, which was way more grueling and way more long hours and everything, like way less conducive to living on any sort of diet. And I had been doing the vegetarian diet there. And so I wanted to see if there were other vegan, vegetarian pilots and flight attendants out there. I was curious. I was sure there were some. So I did a quick Google search one day, and nothing came up. There was one post on this forum called Airline Pilot Central where someone had asked, hey, is it possible to be a vegan airline pilot? And a bunch of answers were like, no, it'd be too difficult, it wouldn't work. So I thought, well, there should be something on Google so that when someone Googles that, it pops up and saying, hey, it's possible, someone's doing it. You know, I wanted to do that service for others, not because I wanted to change anyone's mind or convince anybody. I'm not like that.
But just make the information available.
Make the information available.
The last show before you came on, all the crew asked me what socks was I going to wear.
Right.
And I said, I don't know, polka dots. And so everybody showed up, for the most part, with polka dots something on.
Okay.
Because I wear boring suits, I say, and so to have cool socks I thought was just a fun thing to do on wide shots, as you can see. You say that what men's socks tell you about him is something important.
Absolutely.
So I'm all ears.
And this is truly how we met, because on Facebook, someone posted a picture of you.
They did.
Because I had mentioned this theory that I have, and they've said, look at this guy's crazy socks.
Yep.
And I was like, those are awesome.
That was actually the polka dot show.
They were adorable. And so I have this theory, and excuse the crassness of it, but I truly believe that when a man wears boring and practical socks, he's probably boring and practical. That's fine. But when a man steps up his game, and he wears fun socks and puts that little extra effort again, it's like that curb appeal. It tells me that he's fun and exciting. Now, same is true for women and the undergarments that they wear.
Okay.
So if I'm going to date a guy on a first date, I'm always going to be checking about his socks. Because what does that tell me? And I'd like to think that he's hoping for a girl who's not just boring and playing on the underneath.
But you have the advantage because...
I get to see yours. You just have to wait, because she's sexy with her savvy.
Okay. So there are many people who don't know the Shea Cotton story, and I know you have something special coming out that's going to give a lot deeper perspective. But let's go back to the beginning. You know, when you got into basketball, when did you first realize that basketball was going to be a love and a passion for you?
I think I first realized basketball would be something that I'd fall in love with was around 11 years old, and took it serious right around 12. So right around the 6th grade is when I really started to catapult. Yeah, well, I attribute a lot of that to my family connection. You know, my parents kept me grounded. Me and my brother both played, so we took the trash out when we came home, and we did the little things. You know, I mean, I think integrity and humility is imperative in life, and you know, I have to credit it to that, and obviously my faith, you know, to keep me centered.
And we have a video clip that talks about that, and we're going to share that with people so that they can hear from some of your peers during that time exactly what they thought of Shea Cotton. So here's the clip.
We were all trying to be as big as Shea Cotton.
And if you were to assemble a dream team of the best 14 and under players in the country, perhaps at the top of the list would be a kid by the name of Shea Cotton.
It was unfair. You know, I felt like, oh, that ain't fair. This ain't fair. Shea Cotton is the best high school athlete that I've ever seen.
Quarter's been all Monarch so far, high low.
Man, he was selling out gyms since 6th grade, 7th grade.
Shea Cotton was like LeBron James before there ever was a LeBron James.
Like I said, just keep clear of everything until we're going, and I'll tell you when you can put the control.
Oh, very subtle.
Very subtle indeed, isn't it?
Yeah.
So. What a view. What a view indeed, right? So 700 feet right now.
Okay.
Traveling around about 100 miles an hour, give or take.
Wow,
So
feels like we're just...
Feels like you're going really slow, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a turn here. Because obviously the wind direction is going to change a little bit now. But we should be good. All right. Now if you want to put your left hand down on the collective.
Right.
All right, so you see right now, this says at about 19 right now, 19, 20, right? That's the power we've got.
Okay.
So if you want to push down on it a little bit to about 17, then see what happens. You see this here? This is our vertical speed indicator. We're now going down. 500, 600 feet a minute. Okay. All right, now the fun one, right? Now you're going to have a go at this. So take that very gently in your right hand. Ease it over to the right like a joystick. Right, you see, it started to bank. Right. Now it will start to turn. It will start to pull itself around the turn. Good. This is why we do what we do. Yeah. There's the Queen Mary. And you won't always have enough altitude for in case of an engine failure. Right. So I don't tend to go below 700 feet. Back with your right hand. You're going to steer us in a straight line up to Belmont here, and we're going to turn up Redondo Avenue and start your turn inbound. Yeah, there you go, good. Turn it more, just see how it does, how it performs. Yeah. Good job. Awesome job. So just fly to the tower, then I'm going to take over from you. You've got all three controls now. Your feet are on the pedals, you've got the collective, you've got the cycling. You're doing the flying. Okay. Just keep us in a straight line, you're doing good.
PadNet is not just a community media center. I would rather think of it as a voice for our community, a portal for the world to see what makes our city great, while appreciating the amazing talent, leadership, culture, and creative genius that we proudly share. PadNet is a voice of advocacy for those that cannot be heard, a safe place to learn and develop professional skills for youth, adults, and our amazing college interns that come to us from across the nation. PadNet is only a vision, however, with potential, unless people such as you join us to create a greater voice for the best of Long Beach to be seen and to be heard around the world. Long Beach Lens is intended to represent some of the best of what PadNet can offer. I am very proud of our amazing crew, esteemed guests, dedicated staff, and you, the viewers, that share your ideas, talent, and support for the work we do. This last segment gives you a longer look behind the scenes of Long Beach Lens at the very talented and professional team that make Long Beach Lens a flagship show on PadNet TV that we are very proud of, and we hope that you are as well. Thanks for allowing us to share the best of the first 100 episodes we have created. With your support, we will do this again 100 episodes from now.